What's an incredibly American thing Americans don't realize is American? Free refills at restaurants. Ranch. Prescription drug commercials. Thanking military people for their service. Absurdly protracted election cycles. Election campaigns in the US appear to take a full year, where they typically just last a month or two in most of the countries I've visited. Handing your credit card to a stranger, having them walk away, swipe it, then bring it back to like they didn't just put a down payment on a new house with it. Drive-through apps and everything else. I didn't learn we had drive-through liquor stores until later in my life. American here. When I studied abroad, I was smiling and friendly to strangers. In London they looked like I wanted to steal something from them. I'm American. When I moved to Australia I was constantly asked 3 questions. 1. How do you pronounce aluminum? 2. How do you pronounce Jaguar? 3. Are red Solo cups a real thing? In all the movies, whenever there is a house party everyone has a red Solo cup. I was caught completely off guard by the Solo cup question. Ever since then I've been very attentive to these damn red cups. They really are everywhere. Asterisk. The cult of high school/college sports. Liberal equals left wing. Might just be me, but I do notice, when you ask Americans on the internet where they're from, they reply with either a state or a city instead of their country. The thing is, it doesn't cause any confusion, since most people know most American states, and at least the major cities. You don't often see an Indonesian person, for example, say they're from West Java. Just that they're from Indonesia. Daily driving pickup trucks. Sending Christmas cards with their family photo on it. Not including tax on prices displayed in stores. Not making posts about other countries. Paying $10,000 for a live birth and thinking that's okay. Singing the national anthem at every possible opportunity, even when the event does not involve any other countries. Mixing 3 different canned foods together and calling it a casserole. Pledging allegiance to the flag or singing the national anthem outside of special events. I went to see a kids talent show in a small rural town. There were maybe 8 acts and 30 people watching, and they all stood and pledged allegiance to the flag and sang the national anthem beforehand. It was extremely strange. Air conditioning. I'm very surprised no one has said this yet. It's not that other countries don't have heating and AC. They do. But our use of them, especially the latter during the summer, is astronomically higher than anywhere else on the planet, even when compared to other first world countries. Making pancakes from the box. Not owning a passport. I don't know if that is a myth, but I hear that a huge percentage of Americans have never been out of the country and don't even have a passport. I understand that the US is huge with a massive range of landscapes and climate, but it still seems a little odd to me. Not having to ask for the bill. While I admit the Brits are pretty close with their full English breakfast, the American greasy diner breakfast of eggs, bacon, waffles/pancakes and hash browns is pretty uniquely American. My Italian mother has said in the past that it's the only things she's enjoyed about American food culture. My nonna would be horrified if she heard we were eating fried eggs for breakfast. Currently on my first proper trip in the US and a few things stood out to me. Overall great place. Asterisk restaurants by default will bring everyone cups of water, sometimes with ice. Asterisk to pay the bill in the restaurant, they take my card and walk off. Then they come back with a few extra receipts and I can write down a tip and they will change the amount they charge me later. I didn't even know this was a thing that places could do. I have notifications to check the charges are correct just in case. Asterisk every toilet I've been to so far has been pretty clean with little mess. First one was at the airport and even that wasn't too bad. Although the very high water inside the toilet is weird, it hasn't been an issue yet, Some confusion about this, I'm mainly just talking about in restaurants/shops. Don't think I've used public restrooms at any train station. Just the airport. Asterisk streets go from dirty mess to clean and nice quickly. More homeless than I'm used to in London. Asterisk street food/stands are pretty delicious. Pretty much all food stands in New York City seem to be halal, which is nice. Asterisk larger drink cans/portions. Asterisk mixed road qualities, but overall big roads and cars. Not a fan of the pedestrian crossings, because I just don't fully understand the symbols yet. I think I get the symbols now. It was just the red hand with the timer throwing me off. Timer should be with the white figure. Asterisk air conditioning everywhere, which is definitely required. Asterisk speeding on the highway. Literally everyone is above the speed limit. We think we are missing something, because everyone is above the speed limit. No shot would that happen in the UK, we have cameras everywhere. Give tips at restaurants. And give even more tips for barber/food delivery/massage. And some Asian restaurants will automatically add 20% tip after tax. Asterisk. So much fast food. Driving everywhere. Americans drive a lot. Far more than residents in most other countries. Road trip baby. You can hop in a car and drive 2,500 miles in one direction. Ranch. I never knew ranch was just an American thing until recently. Someone paid just to bag your shopping at the checkout. Makes me feel so awkward and uncomfortable just standing there while they do it. Incarceration. The United States incarcerates more of its own citizens than any civilization in history. Thinking that anything remotely socialist is communism. Speaking very loud in public places. I think that's the #1 reason American tourists stand out like a sore thumb. Calling a water heater, hot water heater. Pledging allegiance to a flag. Y'all. Asking a complete stranger how are you doing today. Thinking that circumcision is the norm and that uncut guys have smelly dicks. Saying whatever in the most condescending/dismissive/arrogant tone. Seeing your country's flag all over the place. American Chinese food, like orange chicken, egg foo young. There is a wonderful documentary called The Search for General Tso, and it talks about how Chinese immigrants designed this food to please American taste buds. Apparently General Tso's chicken is from Taiwan. Flags hanging out front of people's homes. It feels weirdly ominous as a Canadian who travels to the States sometimes just how many homes have the American flag just on a post out front. Can cheese you squirt? Fettuccine Alfredo. Root beer. Making cities hostile to pedestrians and bicyclists. I don't just mean car friendly, but actively anti-pedestrian. As in, the only legal route to get to a place 100 meters away being a 1-kilometer detour to find the nearest spot it legal to cross a road, or not having paths connecting downtowns to what little public transit hubs there are. Even people who would otherwise want to walk, because it's a short distance, find they have to use a car, because the pathways actively block pedestrians. Left square bracket. I used to work in a call center that took calls from Americans and Canadians. I'd ask, where are you from, Canada or the US? Canadians would say Canada and American would say Texas or New York, etc. Never ever would they reply with their country name. Turning right on red. Being an immigrant. Almost every citizen of the USA today is directly descended from immigrants. It's a huge part of our national identity, whether a certain portion of our population understand that or not. As a Canadian, I guarantee a lot of these things aren't just American. A strong focus on how things relate to race and privilege and cultural stuff. Americans have a particular brand of plucky, cheerful tenacity that I find to be one of their most charming traits. It can mean that they seem a bit forlorn, loud or over-exuberant, but I have on the whole found them to be warm and inviting people. I think the tenacity might be why there's a begrudging fondness from us Brits, and I think it's particularly flavored from the wartime reception of World War II. Brits are also tenacious, but in a more grumpy, stubborn way. If Americans are like, yeah, we can do the things. I believe in you. Let's do it. Then Brits are like, well, I better bloody do the things out of spite. I'll complain the whole time, but I'll show you that I can bloody well do the things too, but ultimately the things get done, and I think Brits appreciate that. So we are all like, well, Yank, you might be a bit bonkers, but you get results. You're allowed in my pub. Walking up to a total stranger in the street, striking up a conversation for not particular reason, and it not being weird,